Next, we're going to move into the Advanced Find tool. So let's talk about exactly what an Advanced Find is. It's a search tool used in Dynamics CRM to find information and retrieve records. It's much more powerful than filtering, and it's a better choice for complex search criteria. It's because it will let you search on multiple fields in the primary record type, or to search on multiple fields in related records to the primary record type. Now, the primary record type is the record type that you're doing the advanced find against. So if I'm building an advanced find and I'm building it on the lead record, then the lead record is the primary record, but it also may be related to some other records. We can search on criteria in these other records to define our selection criteria for the records of the primary record type that we want to work with. Advanced finds can be saved as personal views, and then they can be reused by any other user, and they're very simple to create and use. So these are not just for power users, these are for everyone. Then I can share personal views with other users. So I've moved to a couple of views in the contacts record type because this is going to make it easier for some of the more complex things that I want to demonstrate shortly. So let's start off with the fact that there's two ways to create a new advanced find. Typically, when you're in an entity, you'll have the ribbon for that entity displayed. And so this is the default ribbon you'd see when you came into Contacts, and I can simply click over here on Advanced Find, and this will open my Advanced Find interface. And this is one of the two ways that we can create a new Advanced Find. The other approach is to click on the View tab of the ribbon, which now gives us a number of icons related to managing views, and I can come over and click the New Personal View button, which also opens the Advanced Find interface. It really doesn't matter which approach you use to get into Advanced Find because they both work exactly the same way. The first thing that you need to be aware of about the Advanced Find interface is that if the Details block is not lit, you won't be able to do any editing, because you can only edit when you're in Details mode. As you can see, this message here talks about that. So we can come up here and click on Details, which will now allow me to do my editing. By the way, you can also set this to be the default view when you open an Advanced Find in your personal options, but we're not going to cover that here. Next, we want to focus on how we actually build our Advanced Find. So first, the Look For drop-down box allows us to select from all the different record types in the CRM application. In this particular case, because I came to it from the Contacts record type, it automatically defaulted to that. Next, I can choose to use a saved view as the basis, and this is a really powerful way to speed up creating your advanced finds, because not only does it give you the basis for building a new advanced find, but it also gives you some examples. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and select the My Active Contacts as the basis. And as I do this, you'll notice that it went ahead and put some of the selection criteria, in other words, how we select the records that we want to retrieve, into my advanced find for me. And that's different from what was displayed when I was trying to do new, because new was showing nothing. So I always want to pick the advanced find that's closest to what I want to use. So we'll start with My Active Contacts. So now that we have a couple of criteria on here, let me show you what happens when we click the Details button on and off. As you can see, it's showing details now. If I click it again, it goes back and just shows me the basis for the information, but doesn't make it easy for me to put in my criteria. So I'm going to go back to the Details mode so that I can now edit. The next thing that we can do is go ahead and put in our additional criteria that we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate what I did in the filter, and then I'm going to add more as I move on. So first of all, we click the Select button, and this allows me to select from all of the fields in the primary record type, as we talked about before. So we'll cover that, and we'll go back and cover Related shortly. So this first list is fields, and anything under the fields section all the way down until we get to Related are the fields in the primary record type. So in this particular case, what we want to do is we want to pick on the address 1 zip code. So I'm going to come down to address 1 zip postal code, and I'm going to put in begins with, as we did in our filter, and now I'm going to put in my 2. Now what I'm also going to do is build my OR. So now I'm going to go back down and take address 1 zip postal code, and I'm going to do another begins with, and I will do 5. However, if I leave it like this, it will never retrieve any records because the zip code cannot possibly begin with 2 and 5. So what has to happen is I need to build an OR group, which is done up here. And to build my OR group, I simply hit the drop down next to each line that I want to select to be in a group and select the 2 rows, and now I can come up here and say group by OR, and this now says that the owner of the records must equal the current user, and that they must be active records, and that their address must either begin with a zip code of 2 or a zip code beginning with 5. The point that I'm trying to make here is you can put as many lines of selection criteria that select which records are to be included in your results as you like. And we can put together some fairly complex selection criteria due to the fact that we can group with our ands and ors. So I've now got a basis where there's 2 additional selection criteria that I've added, but I can add many more. Now the other part of this is I can go out and I can also select based upon a related record. So let's show you how that works. The contacts are related to parent accounts. And so I can use this as the basis for selecting records based upon criteria not only in the contact record, but also in their related account record. So I click on select, and now I roll all the way down to the bottom where I see related. And I know that what I'm looking for is actually the parent account, which is known as parent customer account. So I'm going to select that. And so now I have a selection criteria where I can go and select fields from within the customer account. I'm looking at a list of all the fields in the parent customer or account record. And so I can scroll down through all these fields. Also, in related records, and we're doing the look for up here, different CRM implementations have different custom record types on them. So you may see some in our demonstration that you may not see on yours, and vice versa. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to select on industry. So I'm going to come down and select the industry field, and we're going to select when industry is equal to something. So this happens to be a drop-down list. So I now can go in and select from my drop-down list and find the correct value. And I'm going to select service retail. So I go ahead and click the double arrows to put it in the selected values. I can select more than one, so we could also choose, for instance, something else that relates to retail, and we'll just choose wholesale. And so now I've got 2 selected values that I've retrieved. And there's some other things that I want to show you, but let's go ahead and test our query. So I come up here and I click on results, and let's see how many records that we got. Well, we got 2 records. We got Brain Lemie and Darren Parker. And if we go back to our advanced find, these are the 2 records which meets this complete set of selection criteria. One quick note about currency fields when we're accessing them within the CRM application. Currency fields will always be set up with 2 different fields for each currency. So for instance, if we were to roll down to the annual revenue, you'll notice there's an annual revenue and an annual base. This is done because CRM supports multiple currencies. The annual revenue without the base attached to it is what's known as the transaction currency, and the one with base is known as the base currency. The transaction currency is the currency in which whatever transaction is taking place. So for instance, if I'm looking at a customer who is reporting their numbers on euro, then their annual revenue will be stored in euros, and then it will be converted to dollars if my base or my reporting currency is in dollars. So we have both fields that we can pull from, and we always want to make sure we pick the appropriate one. So once we've gotten all of our selection criteria exactly the way that we want them, and we've tested them by going to results and come back and got exactly refined the way that we want it, we now can get to choose the columns that we want to appear in our advanced find. So to do that, we come over and we click on the columns button. This now shows us the layout of our view and all the fields which are currently included. And if you'll notice, in this view, there's not very much information. This includes the fields that were used in the base view that we created our find from. So let's say that what I'd like to do is go ahead and add, after the full name, I'd like to add the title of the contact. So I can click on Add Columns and then come down and look for Job Title. I can click on the little box next to it, and I can select multiple fields when I do this, and I can add it to the right of the field that was in green when I went in there. The next thing is that I know that the job title is not going to be wide enough, so I want to make it wider. So I can simply come up and double click the job title column, and now I can select the width for this column. So I'll choose 200 pixels, and the ranges that I can choose are anywhere from 25 pixels to 300 pixels. And now it has widened my field and added it as the job title to the right of the name. We can add as many columns as we like, and we can also add information from the related record. As you can see, we've got parent customer here. So I can go in and add columns, and I can come up here to record type, and I can select contact, which is the default, or I can come down and select the parent customer account, and now I can go pull the state from address 1 of the account and show that in my view as well. So this is different from the state that's associated with a contact, because the contact has an address and so does the parent customer account. So in this case, I've added that. I'll widen that one to 150, and there we go. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to sort my view into a different sequence. I want to sort this, and I configure the sorting. I'm going to go to Configure Sorting, and I'm first going to sort on the parent customer name in ascending order, and then I can optionally select on a second field, which I will do on the full name, also in ascending order. So now I have added some additional fields to the view, and I've determined the sequence in which it will initially be displayed. And I click OK. I have now finished my query. I can view my results if I like, again, to test, and you'll see that now these columns are included that were not there before. I can go back to my query, and finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Save As. And so I've given it a name that's a little bit different from the base view that I chose, and I now have a view out there, and I can go take a look at my saved views. So this is how we create a query, define the selection criteria, define which fields we want to see, adjust their widths, and finally sort the query. So the last thing that I want to show you here is how we manage our saved views. So once I've created them, I can create very many of them, and they must be managed. And to get to them, first we select in the Look For the name of the record type that we want to look at the views of, and then we click on Saved Views. This shows me the list of all of the saved views that I own or have access to for contacts. And as you can see, I've got a couple of duplicates because I saved one twice with the same name. So I can come in and do a number of things with it. I could first go into an advanced find, open it up, and I can change the properties to change the name. So I can edit properties, and this is copy 2, and now I click Save. So that's how I can rename an existing advanced find. And if I go over to my Save Views and widen up this column a little bit, and finally do a refresh right here, you'll see that I was able to rename it. I also can delete an advanced find by highlighting and clicking Delete Saved View. If I do this, I will not be able to recover this saved view again. A better way of handling this is to choose to deactivate a view. So I go ahead and select a view or group of views, and I can select Deactivate. This will cause it to be removed from the list of views, but I can always go back to it and reactivate it and use it again should I need to do so. And you'll notice that the view that I'm looking at is Active Saved Views. So if I went down and showed my inactive saved views, this would be the one that I just deactivated, and I can go back and reactivate that. Now to bring this all the way back around to where we started, we're back to views. And I can now go and open any of the personal views that I've created by simply clicking on a tab, And you'll notice all my system views are up here, but I have my personal views down here, and I can select them. For instance, this one right here, and it is now displayed, and I can also pin it just like any other system or other view. And the next time I come in to Contacts in Outlook, these 3 tabs that are pinned will appear. Video training series available from us include end user training with 5 sets of video modules designed to introduce new users to CRM 2011. We focus with 1 course on general navigation and then common functions, plus 1 course for each of the 4 CRM application areas: sales, marketing, service, and service scheduling. We have 2 in the technical series: the Install Customize series and the Workflow and Dialog Processes series. For developers, we have 2 series, one for extending CRM beyond the customization basics and interfacing CRM 2011 with other applications. Other services available from Business IT professionals include instructor-led training. We offer CRM 2011 boot camps about every other month throughout the country. We also offer individually tailored private classes, either on location or delivered via the web. We can provide custom training development and delivery. We can use our series decks as a basis and then create customized training that matches your CRM customizations, and then provide either instructor-led training or video-based training for your specifications. We also provide mentoring and support for CRM teams. Our consultants are ready to go to the next level to help your team evolve that skill set that it needs. And finally, we work with CRM 2011 projects including planning, licensing, development, implementation, and ongoing support. This video has been prepared by Business IT Professionals Incorporated, helping you connect with your customers. I thank you for your time and hope you found it helpful.